Most women fasting to lose weight are fasting 4 to 6 hours longer than their body can actually use. A 2023 analysis in Frontiers in Nutrition found that women's cortisol response to extended fasting diverges sharply from men's, and after a specific hour, it stops working for fat and starts working against it. The female body after 40 is not built for longer fasts. It is built for smarter ones. Today, you are going to understand exactly where your fat-burning window opens, where it closes, and what you can do to work with it instead of past it. There is a specific hour inside a woman's fasting window where fat burning stops, and most women are fasting right through it without knowing. After 40, the female body does not treat fasting as an opportunity. It treats it as information. And the information it reads from a long fast is not, burn the stores. It is, a threat is here, protect them. That is not a failure of willpower. That is an ancient protective system doing exactly what it was built to do. Here is the mechanism. Estrogen, when it is present, puts a quiet ceiling on cortisol. It keeps the stress response from running unchecked. When estrogen drops after 40, that ceiling disappears. Cortisol can now rise freely, and in the context of fasting, it does. It rises in the morning, it stays elevated, and it sends one clear signal to fat cells around the belly. Hold. Do not release. We may need this. This is why two women can follow the exact same 16-hour fast, and one loses weight, and one gains it around the middle. It is not the protocol that is different. It is the hormonal environment receiving it. But the window does exist. That is what matters. The fat-burning window for women after 40 is real. It is just shorter, and it opens and closes differently than anyone told her. There is a hormone most women have never heard of that controls whether fasting burns fat or just burns muscle. The hormone is called GLP-1. It is the same mechanism that Mounjaro activates in women pharmacologically, but the body produces it naturally, and fasting is one of the most powerful ways to trigger it when it is done correctly. GLP-1 tells the brain the body is fed, slows digestion so glucose enters the blood slowly, and signals fat tissue to release stored energy. It is, in simple terms, the hormone that makes fat available. Here is the problem. GLP-1 is exquisitely sensitive to cortisol. When cortisol is elevated, as it is during extended fasting in a low estrogen body, GLP-1 production drops. The exact mechanism meant to trigger fat release gets suppressed by the stress signal the fast itself created. This is not a paradox. It is a feedback system doing what it was designed to do. A body under threat does not release fat. It holds it and waits. A 2021 study published in Cell Metabolism confirmed that GLP-1 secretion in women is meaningfully disrupted by high cortisol, and that the disruption is more pronounced in perimenopausal and postmenopausal women than in any other group. The fat-burning switch is there. Cortisol is what keeps it off. This means the question is never simply how long. It is how long before cortisol overtakes GLP-1. And that number is different for a woman over 40 than it is for anyone the standard protocols were written for. That is exactly what the natural Mounjaro protocol was built around. The specific timing of the female fat-burning window mapped to the hormonal reality of the body after 45. It is on screen if you want the practical version of what we are covering here. But the timing is only half of what determines whether fasting works. Here is what most women do not realize about the first hours of a fast. The fat-burning window does not open the moment you stop eating. In the first 8 to 10 hours of a fast, the body is still processing and clearing glucose. Insulin is falling but not yet low enough to unlock fat stores reliably. This phase is necessary, but it is not fat-burning. It is preparation. Between 10 and 13 hours, something shifts. Insulin has dropped far enough. Glucagon, the hormone that signals the liver to release stored glucose, begins to rise. And GLP-1, if cortisol has not yet spiked, starts its own rise. This is the opening of the window. This is when fat begins to move. For a woman with healthy estrogen levels, this window can extend to 16 hours or beyond. Her cortisol is buffered. Her stress response stays manageable. Her body reads the fast as an opportunity and responds accordingly. For a woman over 40 with declining estrogen, the window is narrower. Around 14 hours, sometimes earlier, depending on sleep quality, the previous day's stress load, and where she is in her cycle. Cortisol crosses a threshold. GLP-1 starts to fall. The fat-burning signal weakens. And if the fast continues past that point, the dominant signal in her body is no longer burn. It is conserve. Fasting past the window does not extend the benefit. It reverses it. This is the exact reason that women following aggressive protocols, 20-hour fasts, 1 meal a day, extended dry fasting, often report their belly fat becoming harder to move, not easier. They are not fasting through the window. They are fasting past it. Now here is what most explanations leave out, and it changes what you do next. The length of the fat-burning window is not fixed. It is modifiable. The same woman who hits a cortisol ceiling at 13 hours under one set of conditions may extend her window to 16 hours under different ones. What determines the ceiling is not only how long she fasts, it is what was happening in her body before the fast began. Sleep is the most powerful variable. Deep sleep, specifically the slow-wave sleep that typically happens in the first half of the night, is when cortisol resets to its lowest point. A woman who slept poorly the night before starts her fast with a cortisol baseline that is already elevated. Her window closes faster because it started higher. The second variable is what she did the day before. High-intensity exercise, chronic stress, undereating, and alcohol all raise the cortisol baseline that carries into the following morning. A woman who trained hard, slept 5 hours, and skipped dinner will find that her cortisol spikes earlier in her fast. Not because the fast was too long, but because she entered it already stressed. The third variable is what she eats to break the fast. Breaking a fast with a high glycemic meal, sweet coffee, cereal, fruit juice, anything that spikes glucose fast, causes a cortisol response of its own. Insulin floods in, cortisol spikes in response, and the hormonal environment that fat burning depends on collapses within 30 minutes of eating. The window closed cleanly. The break reopened the stress cycle. This is why the answer to how long is not a single number. It is a range that lives between 10 hours and 14 hours for most women over 40. And what determines where within that range her body can actually burn is everything that surrounds the fast, not just the fast itself. There is one more mechanism here that almost nobody explains, and it is the one that determines whether any of this actually sticks. The female body after 40 has a hunger regulation problem that is structural, not behavioral. Leptin, the hormone that tells the brain the body has enough stored energy, becomes less responsive as estrogen declines. The brain stops receiving the fed signal clearly. Hunger goes up even when fat stores are more than adequate. Cravings sharpen, especially in the evenings, especially for fast carbohydrates. This is not a lack of discipline. It is leptin resistance acting on the brain directly. And it is one of the reasons women over 40 find fasting harder to sustain than their male counterparts or their younger selves. The hunger feedback system is misfiring. They are genuinely hungrier than the evidence in their body would warrant. GLP-1 is the direct counterpart to leptin in this system. Where leptin sends the signal through fat tissue, GLP-1 sends it through the gut. When GLP-1 is functioning well, it reaches the brain and says, "You have eaten enough. The fast is working. You are satisfied." When cortisol suppresses GLP-1, as it does past the fat-burning window, that satiety signal disappears. Hunger floods back in. Cravings become harder to override. And the woman who has been fasting since the night before finds herself eating in a way that undoes the window she spent 13 hours building. This is why the right fasting length for women over 40 is not about restriction. It is about precision. Hitting the window, breaking the fast in a way that sustains GLP-1 rather than collapsing it, and keeping cortisol low enough that the signal can reach the brain. That is the complete equation. Length is only one variable in it. The women who struggle most with belly fat during fasting are not failing. They are succeeding at the wrong protocol. Their bodies are doing exactly what they were designed to do. The signal was wrong. The window was wrong. The break was wrong. And nobody told them because the system was built for a body that does not change the way hers did after 40. Everything in this video is free because understanding how your body works should not cost you anything. The natural Mounjaro protocol exists because understanding and applying are not the same thing. I spent a long time building the practical version of this. The exact fasting window mapped to the female hormonal cycle after 45. The specific foods that protect GLP-1 when you break the fast. The 21 days that teach the body a new baseline instead of a punishing schedule. That is what the protocol is. It costs something because it took real work to build something that functions in a real woman's real life, not in a clinical study done on someone else's body. Women following this protocol are watching belly fat move that has not moved in years, not because they fasted longer, because for the first time, the timing matched the body that was actually doing the work. The link is on screen.